Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we're going to be talking about Hedera and Hbar, so let's just dive in and let's talk about a few things. So, first and foremost, I hope everybody is having a great day or a great night. I know that today the CPI report does come out. Yes, I'm recording this slightly ahead of time, so I definitely am in anticipation for that. We have been watching this one closely to see if we get down to like that 5-cent range. We did currently hit about almost 6 cents exact. It looks like it wants to hold that range. We're gonna, really kind of watch this and see what happens next because we don't know exactly what this month has in store for us. There's so many events to really kind of look forward to from like the Fed themselves. We have an FOMC meeting at the end of the month. We have a GDP, report. We also have, the CPI report coming out today, like I said. There is so much happening around the space just from like the Fed alone. So, right now, I mean, it's hard to say if like, I would be all in on like risk assets. And technically, it's really not that hard. I would say like I would be 50-50 maybe, but I know that a lot of people are like 60-40 right now. I do have quite a bit in stablecoins, and I do have a lot of fiat on the sidelines, which I have been warning you guys about for a while, in anticipation for, of course, the Fed announcement. So that is what I'm watching for currently. I'm definitely eyeing, Hbar down at like 4 to 5 cents. Everybody has their own plans right now. I've been telling you guys my plans. My plans have always been to, wait to see this, range down here being tested from, January. Even if we can get down to like, the yearly support, like if we can get down to like that 3 to 4 cent zone, that's going to be huge. Now, of course, we don't get down there unless Bitcoin does have that last massive capitulation event, and it could very well happen this month. We definitely have to eye that. So with that in mind, let's move forward and let's actually look at a few things. So tokenization, you guys know me. I've been talking to you guys about tokenization for so long that it's probably making you guys sick to your stomach at this point. But we do see here season 3 of Gossip About Gossip is here. Special thanks to Andy Gasworth, who joins us on the season premiere for an in-depth discussion on fractionalized ownership for tokenization of the real-world assets on Toko. Now, we've talked about Toko in the past. We've talked about tokenization of real-world assets, more so specifically around, real estate. We talk about, like, insurance. There's so much that tokenization could really kind of, tie into. But fractionalized ownership, we really kind of look at more so, like, investment opportunities. Real estate is the big player. Like, imagine having a fractionalized ownership of, like, a massive apartment complex where, maybe you own 15%, so you're kicking back 15% profits on a, month-to-month basis, all while just only investing about, like, a 15% of, your money into that. So that would be something disruptive. I always said, like, real estate has not been disrupted for a very long time. So it is a market that is ripe for disruption. I do think that tokenization is a key area to focus on within that area. And of course, this is basically the main focus point of this, podcast. Like if you listen here, like this is just tokenization of real world assets. Real estate always comes up in play because of how large of a market it is. But listen closely to this.
And over again, and we're avoiding a lot of those intermediaries. But the two real main things that we were looking at in asset tokenization, if you take commercial real estate, like let's say $100 million office building, the first thing is that's not a very liquid asset. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to create liquidity for assets that traditionally have poor liquidity. And then the second part of it, and this is really an important thing, is we're really creating a democratization of access to these assets. So whereas before, if you were going to be an investor in a $100 million office building, you would have to have significant, funds and resources, and probably know the right people to be involved in a asset investment like that. If we can fractionalize and make the investment available, the asset available to the masses, then we're really doing something. And by creating that democratization and giving access to it, we're also creating further liquidity for the assets. So that's something that's very interesting to our clients who traditionally do business and have these type of assets. So we're still doing the same legal work, but Toko enables us with the platform to drive those two major initiatives, which are really game changers.
And of course, like, this goes on for a little bit more time. Like, I advise all of you to go listen to this. Like, this is a 20-minute long podcast. And if you guys are an Hbar holder, you definitely want to go and check this out because there's so much in it to really kind of look at. But I've always said, the global real estate market is seriously something to continue to watch around tokenization because it's an over $300 trillion asset class. And again, Toko is, really kind of paying attention to that area. They see how ripe for disruption it actually is. Their website, they have like a ton of like investors and like asset owners and stuff like that, areas on here. You can check it out for everything around like tokenization, especially on Hedera. Like you do see like where they are really kind of focused on in regards to like the sectors like consumer goods, food, retail, energy and natural resources, financial services, industrials, and so on. And of course, real estate is mentioned there. I do see like the solutions by asset, and real estate is the number one here. You also do see like a ton of other ones around like private debt, which again, like private debt and the markets that this is going after, like you're talking about trillions to possibly even quadrillions of dollars. We've talked about like derivatives, debt. There's so much truly in regards to like the value around this to be disruptive, which we've talked about even with XRP. And of course, you do see like solutions by institutions. Sorry, issuers, custodians, broker dealers, exchanges, banks, clearinghouses, etc. Like this is again really kind of focusing on like the big name clients. And of course, you do see like why Toko, how Toko works. It's really kind of just focusing on the efficiencies around Hedera as well. Like this is why they have gone after something like Hbar, or I should say Hedera, to really kind of achieve the efficiencies around tokenization. Like you're not going to achieve this through something like Ethereum. I've always said this. Like this is why Hedera will continue to be a giant within the tokenization aspect because the HTS as a service is so disruptive to this space. Not only that, but like smart contracts 2.0 as well, which I'm very excited for. And we also do see over here the Hedera Governing Council today announced the results of the election to increase the decentralization of governance over the network by replacing all previously permanent executive voting directors on the board with elected representatives. And of course, these are names from ServiceNow, Cineverse, IBM, Standard Bank, etc. And we do see down here like they mention their names. The Hedera Governing Council sets the standard for decentralized governance at scale in the industry, and the board functions are critical to establishing trust in the governance controls designed to ensure the long-term viability of the Hedera network. Again, I think that it's funny, right? That people think that Hedera is so centralized just because the players that are on like the board of directors are from centralized companies, right? Like, I get it. You look at the GC, you see like IBM, Google, these major centralized companies, but I don't think that people realize that Hedera is actually ahead of the game. Like, what do people realize is going to happen when regulations get ushered in? These centralized companies that we talk about on a day-to-day basis, you look at like Apple, Google, Amazon, you even look at Facebook, right? They're getting in on the game. Do you think that like us as retail individuals that are early to something like this are going to be the only players here? No, absolutely not. Like these centralized companies, all they see in their mind is dollar signs. They see the technology stack. They see what's going to happen with crypto. Do you think that they're going to ignore this sector? Absolutely not. Being invested into a company like Hedera that has these centralized companies on board in regards to like the board of directors, all while being from completely diverse industries, not having a biased vote, still makes the mechanism, the governance mechanism, decentralized in its own self, even though it's comprised of centralized entities, which I think that a lot of people are kind of confusing around Hedera. I still see it. It's centralized. It's not. Also, we finally got confirmation. It appears Hbar is ISO 222 now. Layer 0, Layer 1s do not technically need to be certified as such, but nice to see. And yes, Hedera, for the longest time, I've always said, hey, guess what? It does not need to be ISO, compliant. But we finally got the compliancy announcement that Hbar is officially, ISO 20022 compliant. Now, again, how large of an innovation is this? Like, how large is this as an announcement? It's not like crazy or anything like that. Like, I think that a lot of people think that like ISO 222 is going to be, such a huge opportunity for a lot of these assets. To me, ISO 222, it's always just been like a messaging standard, and it's not like something new. It's always been around. But what I look at this, and the reason why I think that this is actually a pretty large area to focus on, is that this standard allows for these tokens to be utilized as a settlement token and also utilized as their main sort of like use case value. Meaning, when you look at like the HTS service or like the HCS service, it allows for Hbar to be utilized within traditional systems. So in regards to like ISO 222, like how large is it to like have an asset in regards to like crypto compliant? It's pretty large at, the idea of like being utilized. So again, I think that this is great, and I love to finally have that confirmation, because we've always said like Hbar was ISO 222 compliant, even though like we didn't have clear confirmation on that. But again, I think that this is great. Let me know what you guys think about that down in the description below. And also, last but not least, the last thing that I want to talk to you guys about is DeFi. So we've seen an announcement from SaucerSwap. Now, this is actually with Headstarter 2. Yield farm announcement. We are excited to announce an Hbar HST yield farm available at launch, along with our liquidity partner and fellow member of the Hedera DeFi Alliance, Headstarter.org. I love the fact that these DeFi projects on Hedera are, really kind of working together. I love collaboration between projects like this. It's going to help the DeFi sector on Hedera actually succeed, because again, remember, like DeFi on a lot of other networks, the reason why they don't like get some massive growth around them is just because of like the lack of collaboration, but also like the lack of innovation. And I think that SaucerSwap and like even Headstarter and also a lot of the DeFi protocols around Hedera are actually pretty special. And I've always said like SaucerSwap is one to really continue to watch for. Like, I think that this is probably one of the coolest projects that are on Hedera in regards to like retail fanciness. And I don't mean like retail fanciness in like the terms of like how everybody like really thinks of it. The way that I look at it is just like the graphics around it and things like that, cater to the retail individual, which is also like why I've always said like Solana is such a successful network. Not in the sense of like it being, viable, but just like from marketing standards alone, like it's very catered to the retail individual. And I think that SaucerSwap, like this as DeFi, like a decentralized exchange, but also like a DeFi use case, is actually pretty special for like the retail individual in terms of like marketability. So I love to see things like this, and they have been, announcing a few things. Like for example, they also do have like a Sauce Jam yield farm as well, and we are continuously seeing them, announcement after announcement. Like we just talked about. I think that we just talked about this in a video just recently, the yield farming tutorial, and I talked about how cool this is actually going to be for the Hedera scene. And again, DeFi is a huge area to focus on. I love to see DeFi continuing to, be built out on Hedera. I think that's something special, but also, again, go listen in on this podcast. Like, if you guys want a homework assignment from me, go listen in on this podcast. I think that's something special, and I definitely do think that it's something disruptive for the Hedera scene. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on if you guys want more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, up to you all. Have a beautiful day or beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.